Greetings, welcome back. This is Queen Elle of QueenElle79. Today's video is to talk about Mercury retrograde. This is actually the second of 4 Mercury retrogrades that we will experience in 2020. This one will take place from June 18th to July 12th, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, July 12th. So as always, I have my planner handy with all my notes and my research and my findings regarding this planetary transit. So planets do not technically go in reverse as the term retrograde would have you think. They actually, it's just the way that our planet rather observes, or the way that we view the planet in question. So we know that Mercury is on its own orbit, and then there's certain periods of time every year where the way that our planet interacts with that planet, as far as our orbits are concerned, it looks to us like Mercury is changing course and going in reverse. Now, what that does for us, as far as how it affects us here, is things get a bit skewed. So Mercury rules the 3rd house. I know I've been promising that astrology video with the breakdown of the houses and all of that. I feel like that's going to be a series, because I will need to do a video specifically on the houses. I'll need to do a video separate to that will talk about the aspects of planets, meaning the way that they interact with each other. And then there will be a separate video regarding planetary transits and how that affects us. So I'm still working out the details on how we'll do that, but I will have, a series forthcoming with regard to astrology. So Mercury going retrograde. So Mercury rules the 3rd house. We have 12 houses within our astrological charts, and the 3rd house is regarding communication. So Mercury rules that house. Each house has a planet ruler, and so Mercury rules the house of communication. Now, the problem is when Mercury goes retrograde, there are some issues with that communication. So what we find is the 10 days prior to that retrograde period of June 18th, so that would be now, we're in what's considered a shadow period or pre-shadow period. And so we're already starting to feel the effects with regard to any breakdowns with our communication. And also this retrograde is taking place in the zodiac sign of Cancer. Now we know Cancer is a water sign. Cancer is very emotional and very sensitive, and really in tune with their emotions, wear their emotions on their sleeve, etc. But with Mercury retrograde being in Cancer, there will be a lot of emotion with regard to this lack of communication, or the typical communication that you're used to having kind of going askew or running off track. So this is the time leading up to June 18th of this year. This is the time where you will see a buildup of some type of breakdown. Now, it definitely depends on your sun sign, which is the traditional zodiac sign, the one that's most universally understood, and the one that people, when they say my sign is, etc., they are typically referring to their sun sign. So depending on your sun sign, this retrograde and even the pre-shadow period will most likely affect you differently. The overall theme is the lack of communication, and so there will be some issues with that. Now, like I said, there's the pre-shadow period leading up to June 18th. Once you get to June 18th, that retrograde period again will go from June 18th to July 12th, so about 3 weeks. And during that period of time, it's basically a time for you to, some would say, to lay low. I don't believe in just, getting under a rock for 3 weeks because of a retrograde period. It's all about your awareness. Once you know and you recognize that that's what's going on, then if there is any type of breakdown in communication in your home, with regard to your finances, your career, So any professional or personal issues, as long as you recognize what's going on and you see it for what it is, then I feel like you're better equipped to handle it. You're not going to, like throw your hands up and be like, oh my goodness, like what's going on and the world's coming to an end, my world is crashing down. You'll see it for what it is and you'll say, oh, I see what this is. And then you know how to kind of like move around in that space, whether you decide to fall back because you're like, I'm not going to let my emotions get involved with this conflict because I know what's going on in the ethereal, in the outer realm. I know what's going on, so I'm not going to like jump on this or take the bait with regard to this conflict. Or if you do decide to just act on it, then just know what it was. I mean, not that conflicts don't, aren't valid and don't have any like true purpose, but just know that a lot of the conflicts that you will experience during this retrograde time, it is because of the breakdown in communication. And so it's important to just stay in tune to self, stay in tune to the spirit guides and to your own intuition. And before you act on something, make sure you really do some soul searching first. This is definitely not a time to take a leap on something as far as a new venture or any type of contractual agreement, because your thought process and your decision making process may be impacted by the retrograde. Things that maybe you wouldn't have just jumped on, maybe all of a sudden you're like, I'm just going to do it. Well, I believe even just, I mean, outside of the retrograde, that it's always okay to take a pause, like pause for a beat and just say, well, let me just think on this, because if it's real, if it's purposeful, then after me meditating on it, praying, and just kind of really thinking about it, thinking it all the way through, then that opportunity will still be there. You don't have to make any rash decisions. So that's just a word just all the time. However, especially in the retrograde period, don't jump on that. Now, also, this is a time where people from your past will pop up, maybe in a positive way, maybe in a negative way, just depending on who the person is and you all's relationship. It's definitely a time to reach out to loved ones, maybe who you haven't been in contact with on a regular basis, to rebuild and reconnect those relationships, and also to let go of anything that doesn't serve you. To, if somebody pops up from your past and you know that that's not right, then definitely don't feel inclined to hear them out and everything, because it's all about protecting your space. It's all about you maintaining a certain aura, a certain, I call it my bubble. And in order to do that, you've got to be vigilant about being an advocate for yourself. You don't have to respond to everything. You don't have to react to everything. So just stay true to yourself and just, kind of just be hyper aware of everything that's going on around you, because there will be conflicts that pop up left and right. And just know, that it's not a reflection of you. It's a reflection of the other people and how they're acting. And just because someone's behaving a certain way, it does not require a response from you. Okay. So that's just some thoughts and some insight that I'm receiving from the spirit guides. I did want to, let me see if okay. Also, Mercury is a planet of our daily expression and interaction with each other, as well as, like I said, relationships. So, with it going in retrograde, you may feel a bit of angst or a bit of uneasiness or just dis-ease. Some, depending on your zodiac sign, you may feel kind of like in a funk or feel like, uneasy within your body. So stay attuned to that and make sure that you, practice some self-care, some, just holistic care for yourself, and take time for yourself to like get some rest and to just reflect on things from the past, but not to let them consume you. Okay, don't let them consume you. So I do have um, a few topics that I wanted to use the cards to get a response from the spirit guides. So let me just take a sip of my tea as usual. Okay, and right now I am sipping on just some green tea. So I have my Modern Witch Tarot deck. As usual, you know this is my favorite one. If you haven't checked out any of my other videos, I did an unboxing on this one a little while ago, but I also did an unboxing on Miss Cleo's Tarot Card Power Deck, and also on the Energy Oracle deck. Now, I have not really used either of those decks much yet. However, I do intend to do so to just add an extra layer to my readings. But feel free to check out those videos so that you can just learn more about them if you're interested, okay? So I've already shuffled the cards and I've already cut them. So this will be, let me cut one more time. This will be how to get through this Mercury retrograde period, okay? How to get through it. Okay, so we have the Ace of Pentacles. Okay, now as I've discussed before, and if you haven't seen my Major and Minor Arcana video, please check that out. So this is a part of the Minor Arcana. The Pentacles, that's one of the 4 suits within the tarot, traditional tarot deck, and the suits are the Pentacles, the Wands, Swords, and Cups. Pentacles, this is with regard to your security, with regard to your it could be finances, it could be a sense of power. And so this falls in line with what I was saying with Mercury retrograde is you you know, might have some type of conflict with your professional life or with your personal life. Now, this is saying how to get through it. It's the Ace of Pentacles. Now, the Ace is all about newness. It's all about just starting fresh. Now, I will say I don't recommend actually starting anything during the retrograde period because your it's just your decision making will not be completely lucid. You'll be impacted by some external factors. Just trust that. However, how to get through it for me would be planning a new venture. So once the retrograde period is over on July 12th, we will enter a post shadow period for another 10 days. But that's the time to really rebuild, to really start things new and to start fresh. If you have any ideas, I would say, like with this one being the Ace of Pentacles, for how to get through it, spend this retrograde period instead of kind of just sitting around just waiting to see what's going to happen or reacting to things that do happen. Spend this time planning. Spend this time really digging deep, doing some research, doing some soul searching, and figuring out what it is that you want to do, what new venture you would like to do. Speaking of ventures, I started my brand Queen Elle, as well as my shop on Etsy, QueenElle.etsy.com. I will link that information in the description box. But this is the time to think of different things that are passionate to you. Think of or that you're passionate about. Think of things that kind of light that fire and like that spark within you. And those are the things that you can roll out or implement after this retrograde period is over, because it definitely takes planning to start a business anyway. So use this time to actually venture out there and start something. Okay, so there's that. The next one is what is going to be our main obstacle during this time. So our main obstacle, the Magician. Now, I would say this is more about it's more about your hidden self. It's more about the things that you keep either from yourself or that you keep from others that you're fully aware of. So the thing to watch out for is those things. So don't let some type of hidden emotion or hidden secret, don't let that consume you during this time. You'll be hit with conflict here and there from the external realm, but because of what you know on the inside, the power within you, that truly magic within you, the mystery, the mystique within you, don't let that be affected, especially with this retrograde being in Cancer and hitting your emotions. Don't let that consume you, or don't let it penetrate or permeate your psyche to the point that it affects those things that you hold near and dear to yourself. Okay, you have to learn to have that thicker skin to brush things off and to see them for what they are. Okay, Now, the next card is the relief. So what is the relief that we will have during this time? Okay, we have the Two of Swords. Now, the relief is there's always a decision. I mean, it might be a blind decision. It might be something where you're just like vacillating back and forth, like, I don't know, like what I should do. But just know that you always have a choice. I say that to my children. I say that to my husband, myself, even. We always have a choice. Even when we feel like, like I couldn't control myself or I couldn't help myself or I don't know what made me do that. Nothing's making you do anything. You always have a choice. You are in control of yourself. Even if you feel that you've lost control, it's control that you have given away willingly. And that's the hard truth. Just know that you always have a choice. So the relief is in trusting that with regard to anything that happens, anything that comes your way, you always have a choice with regard to how you react to it, how you respond to it. Okay, just know that. Now, the next card is the outcome at the end of the retrograde period. Okay, the outcome is the Queen of Cups. So she's the boss of her emotions. This is very apropos. So the cups represent your emotions. And like I said, this is all about your emotions with this retrograde being in Cancer. It's all about your emotions. It's all about mastering them. And what will you do with this time? So the Queen of Cups being the outcome, she knows it. She embodies it. She knows that I have mastered my emotions. So master your emotions to have this Ace of Cups energy so that you can start that new venture. Because if you let this period of time create even more issues like tumbleweed or like a domino effect, then you'll be spending the post retrograde period of time cleaning up the mess from the 3-week retrograde. So instead of doing that, I'm giving you this insight before it even gets to that point, before, so that you don't see yourself on the other side doing a bunch of cleanup for the mess that has happened. There's a way to prevent it from even happening. Prevent it from, you can't stop it from coming your way because you can only control yourself. But just know that when things come your way, you're equipped. You can ask somebody for any type of guidance, like myself, being a spiritualist. You can pray, you can meditate, ask the spirit guides, seek the truth within yourself, tap into your own intuition. But just know, like I said, you have a choice in the matter and you will overcome it. You will become the boss. You will run your emotions. You'll rule your emotions. Mercury rules the house of communication. You will rule your emotions at the end of this. Okay, trust me. So that's all I have today for this Mercury retrograde. Feel free to ask me any questions that you have. I would be happy to answer them. Like I said, please feel free to visit my website, QueenElle.etsy.com, for any wellness or holistic products. We're an all-natural brand, 100% natural, and all of the ingredients are listed on my website. Also visit my blog, QueenElle.net. I have lots of musings and posts on sustainability there because that's something I'm passionate about. Feel free to visit my Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter now, and I will list all of those handles in the description box. Ashe, thank you so much for joining me. Many blessings. Peace.